welcome to our conference, DISCON 2021. We have a great crowd today. We had over 390 registrants join us for the conference. 341 Rotarians, 24 Rotaractors from university, 24 Interactors from high school, and 18 early actors. The other really awesome part of this is we have 10 friends of Rotary joining us today for the conference. So welcome. So happy to have you here. My name's Matt Knox. I'll be one of your MCs today. I am a second generation Rotarian. My father is here. Hi, Dad. I've been involved in Rotary since 2007 when I went on a youth exchange, and I've been participating ever since. Most recently, I'm with the Rotary Club of Heritage Park for the past 2 years. But enough about me. You can see my details online on the website, much like the rest of our speakers that are joining us today. Our goal this year has been to reconnect in Drumheller for this conference. The pandemic has remapped our options, so we're navigating a new world and meeting virtually. The event will be a little different than when we would all get together. Technology does offer us some...
Good, thanks.
As a reminder, just to mute yourself, no worries, we got people coming in. One way you can experience our speakers a bit more up close will be to click on the speaker view in the upper right corner of your screen, if you're able to do that. It's a jam-packed agenda for the day, so let's get things underway. Daniela?
Thanks so much, Matt. My name is Daniela Galindo, and I'll be your other MC for the day. I've been around Rotary since around 2012, and like Matt, I too was a youth exchange student way back in the day. I've also been involved in supporting the district youth exchange program for a number of years, and I am so excited about this conference, especially with the theme of connecting with community. I actually recently joined the United Way of Calgary and area as a liaison between all Rotary clubs and United Way in the city with community hubs. Several people are going to welcome us to the conference. So without further ado, I'd like to share with you our very first welcome from Wayne Burgess, the president of the Rotary Club of Olds, the home of our district governor, Mary Turner. Wayne?
Hello, folks. I'm Wayne Burgess, president of the Rotary Club of Olds. It gives me great pleasure to welcome everyone here and be part of the virtual DISCON for District 5360. My job here today is to welcome everyone and to welcome and introduce our district governor, Mary Turner. Mary has been a devoted member of our club since 2008. She worked up to be president in 2013 and 14. She went on to be assistant governor and now currently serving as district governor for this past year. Of course, we all got to know Mary very well this past year with her many visits, and we appreciate what she has done for the district. Ladies and gentlemen, Rotarians of all sorts, please welcome a devoted and passionate member, District Governor Mary Turner.
Thank you so much, Wayne. It's a real pleasure to be with all of us this morning. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, Métis Nation Region 3, and all the peoples who make their home in Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta and Western Saskatchewan. Well, are you ready for a fun-filled day of Rotary connections? We have an amazing representation from all across our district. Welcome to our early actors, our interactors, our Rotaractors, our Rotarians, and to the Friends of Rotary. Rotarians and friends from around the world, welcome to District 5360. I am so glad that you made the time to be with us today, and a very warm welcome to our guests who are joining us to learn more about Rotary and what we do as the members of our Rotary families. For those of you who are attending the district conference for the very first time, I am so glad that you are here. To our youth, this is an exciting time as we welcome you as full district participants in our conference. The district conference is a pivotal event for our district. It is an annual time to come together, to learn from each other, to share our best practices, and to plan together for our clubs and for our district. We are on a journey of discovery as we learn to navigate this new world. Now more than ever, we need to come together, each of us bringing our own experience, skills, and talents to navigate a new world, one which is very different from what we have experienced in the past. I chose this theme as it represents our current opportunities for us to remake Rotary. And in navigating and pivoting, I must pass on to you that our Rotary International Director, Valerie Wafer, is unable to be with us this afternoon. She has had a family situation that has caused her to devote her time and energy to her family. We wish her well and her family as well as they work through this current situation. This is going to be a really busy day, you guys. Our speakers are going to challenge us in our breakout rooms with stimulating and thought-provoking questions. Our breakout rooms have been specifically created to provide cross-generational representation and cross-district representation so that we can reconnect with old friends, meet new ones, and strengthen our Rotary community. We are here to have fun, to connect with our district, and to discover how to navigate a new world through the opportunities which Rotary provides. So let's take a look at our agenda for today.
All right. So Mary shared with you that the theme today is navigating a new world. After these opening ceremonies, we have 4 different speaker sessions lined up to provide you some different insights. The first 3, inclusion, young leaders, and wellness, give us 3 different perspectives of change or impacts that the world is having on us individually or within our clubs. The 4th session, The Power of Rotary, provides examples of how individuals navigated their own new worlds. They'll share how Rotary helped them in their own personal journeys. You're going to hear shortly from Daniela about how these sessions will be run. Between each speaker session, we'll have a break or lunch, and the speaker sessions will have us looking ahead at the changes to come. Interspersed with those speakers will be a number of award presentations, much like our regular district conference. This district is blessed with Rotarians and clubs that exemplify service above self, the attitude that Rotary is known for. We'll share with you the examples of the great work done by Rotarians in 6 different categories. But wait, there is more today. The formal conference will end shortly after 3 p.m. this afternoon. We've scheduled a break for everyone to stretch their legs, find a snack, grab a beverage, and then return at 3:30 for DISCON's own version of Jeopardy. So for all you Alex Trebek fans, you're not going to want to miss this one. Daniela, why don't you share a bit more with everyone what the day will look like?
You bet, Matt. So for each of the 4 speaker sessions, the presenter will have the chance to share their perspective. Their time will be kind of like a TED Talk, 10 to 18 minutes discussing their key points. We will have time to ask the presenter a few questions, and then we'll move into our breakout rooms to discuss further the questions and thoughts raised by the speaker. By taking this approach, we hope, as Mary mentioned in her opening, that you are able to connect with Rotary family members from across generations and across the district. Now, during these presentations, we will be muting all microphones and turning off everyone's video. This is going to reduce interruptions by inadvertent noises, and it should improve connectivity for those with maybe less than stellar internet connections, since there are a lot of us on this call. We encourage you to ask questions from our speakers. We will be taking questions via the chat facility in Zoom. We'll show you a bit more about that in just a minute here. And the last thing I want to mention for now is about our breakout rooms. There is a table lead in each room, or table, encouraging discussion around the table. We encourage all of you to use the chat facility in the breakout rooms to capture your ideas as best you can. We'd like to capture all the great ideas raised today to share with a broader audience later on. When in breakout rooms, we'd appreciate for you to turn on your cameras if you're able, in order to add to the group atmosphere and to feel like we're actually sitting around a table together. And we recognize that some of you may not be familiar with the chat capacity on Zoom. So here's a quick tutorial to get everyone up to speed. As I mentioned, we're asking you to use the chat function for both questions you might have of the speakers you're in and your thoughts that you may share with your breakout rooms. Here's how we use the chat. First, you can move your mouse around the Zoom screen, and you should see a menu come up at the bottom of the screen, something like this, that black strip at the bottom. Notice the chat button near the middle of the screen. Click on that when you want to enter the chat. After that, a chat box like this should appear. You can type your question or response or thought in the area and then circle on the slide, then press the enter key to send it. Let's practice using the chat right now, actually. So everyone, please go to the chat and type in one word that best describes Rotary for you and why you're in Rotary. If you have a second word or a third, type it in as well. We'll accumulate all of the things that are shared in the chat and share them back with you right before lunch. So let's take a moment here. What is your one word? Let's look at what everyone says in the chat. Ooh, oh, okay. I feel like all of our participants are fairly familiar with the chat. So lots of community, service, goodness, relationships, connectivity, good hearts. Oh, this is fantastic. What a great way to start off. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to, you can also direct message. You can let me know if you have questions around the chat. But for now, let's bring it all over to Matt.
All right. Thanks, Danny. So as Danny mentioned, part of today, we're going to ask for your opinion occasionally. When a poll is launched, you'll have around 30 to 40 seconds to select an answer and click on the appropriate item on the list. So we're going to try this now with a poll on the number of district conferences that you've been to. So you should have a pop-up that's come up on your screen right now. Please click on the circle beside your answer. So our question, how many Rotary District conferences have you attended? Oh, wow, I got a lot of first-timers. I figured this would be the first time online, but really, you know, this is the fact that, you know, online has allowed so many people to join us who maybe in the past wouldn't have. Awesome. More than 5 conferences. We got some, you know, what do you call it? You go a lot, you're professionals. There we go. I think this is my 7th actually, which is crazy. Most is 2 to 5. Awesome. So those are all the big key ways that we'll be interacting today. But what if you have problems? What if we run into issues? What do we do? So as we say, no, I think I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Actually, first thing we'd like to is actually ask you other ways you can talk to us and share your experience with others. So a number of you are active on social media, where your club is, and we'd really appreciate you building the awareness of Rotary in general and sharing some of the observations that you're having at district conference. So online on the screen, you'll see the tags for the variety of social media that we participate in. And we also are going to post all of these in the chat for you. So you would have seen Tech Team Dan threw that in. Thanks, Dan. So you get a better idea. Please share as you can and go from there. And now jumping back, we're going to chat. What if you have problems? What if we have issues during the day? So 911 Discon. We have a couple of ways that you can get help today if you're having some challenges. First, send a direct chat to the tech team. There are support folks monitoring the chat, and they'll be there to assist you. Secondly, you may want to write this down or take a picture of the screen if that's easier for you. If you're unable to connect via chat, send us an email. discon2021help@gmail.com, and you'll connect with someone helping you. All right. So the stage is set. We're ready to connect. We're going to start this conference off with a welcome message from our Rotary International President, Holger Knack.
Dear friends in Rotary, a district conference is an important meeting that brings Rotary leaders together and help us prepare for the great challenges ahead. These are challenging times, and Rotary has a special place in helping communities and the world cope with crisis and prepare for future challenges. It is important that we focus on our core values of fellowship, integrity, leadership, service, and diversity, because these values remain constant as the world is changing. And the world is changing rapidly. Even before COVID-19, people were starting to move away from some of the traditions that defines Rotary clubs. The old ways where regular lunch meetings are going more and more away. They will be replaced by different and unique ways of maintaining contacts. Younger generations have grown up with the digital world, and they have a strong desire for service and connections. But they don't want to wait. They want to play a meaningful role right now. It is so important we help build this new Rotary for a new age, because Rotary is not just a club that you join. Rotary is an invitation to endless opportunities. Rotary service, large and small, brings hope to people who need our help. And because of this, Rotary opens opportunities for us to live a richer, more meaningful life with friends around the world, based on our core values. Everything we do opens another opportunity for someone, somewhere. As I like to say, Rotary opens opportunities. This is a moment for everyone in Rotary to step up and lead. I hope you make the most of it. Thank you.
All right, so without further ado, I would like to welcome our first speaker, Dr. Bowtie Todd. Welcome back to DISCON 2021, everyone. Hope that you had a great break and that you were able to do something a little bit different for yourself. Now, before the break, we heard from Dr. Bowtie about inclusion. One of the areas of inclusion that Rotary has been working on for a long time is youth. To build on that work, our next topic is very exciting. Rotary Young Leaders Panel, The Future is Youth. We're going to be hearing from 3 incredible young leaders from our district. They will reflect on Rotary's past in order to define the present and set the stage to revolutionize the future of Rotary. They're going to be focusing on bridging the gap between Rotarians and youth and how to demonstrate the immense value of Rotary across generations. Our panelists shared their bios on the website, but we're going to briefly introduce them for you here. So let's meet our panelists. Matt?
Thanks, Daniela. You bet. So here are our 3 panelists. First up, Danny Vera. Danny Vera is in his first year of his master's program in cardiovascular and respiratory sciences at the University of Calgary. He has been involved in Rotary for 5 years, all at the University of Calgary, and is currently the co-president of the university's Rotaract Club. Next, we have Tony Lee. He's a grade 12 student at Western Canada High School, and he plans to attend UBC this fall for studies in applied science. A 3-year Rotarian, Tony is another leader in our district. He's one of the co-presidents of the Western Canada High School Interact Club. And last but certainly not least, Noah Francis. Noah is currently in grade 8 at Strathcona Tweedsmuir School. Noah was part of the Woodbine Elementary Early Act Club when it started 4 years ago. The club was the first of its kind in Western Canada, and in grade 6, he was the president of the club. Since then, he's continued to participate in a variety of charitable endeavors and has stayed connected to Rotary with opportunities such as this conference. Panelists, if you could unmute yourself, just to double check we've got you all ready to go. Thank you very much. Daniela, let's get this discussion started. Can you lead us through the first question?
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. Our first question for our panelists takes a look back at the past. So let's travel back in time. You have all been involved in Rotary and in the district for some time now. What is it that has kept you engaged for so long, and what advice do you have for other youth who want to become more involved with our district? Our first responder will be from Early Act. Noah, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, so I find what has really kept me engaged is the ability to really be hands-on. It makes the service feel much more rewarding since it really feels like you're doing something. So whenever my club did an initiative, myself and others involved in the club were very directly involved and we're very hands-on. And I find that, as I said, this just makes it feel so much more rewarding. So my advice to anyone getting involved in Rotary is to just take any opportunity you can get to really directly involve yourself in the initiatives of your club.
Thanks so much, Noah. Tony, what about you?
I think what has made me value Rotary so much over the past few years has undoubtedly been the people I've met through the community. Everyone I've met has been an authentic and genuine person who I know really cares for me and my well-being. And whether they're my age or older, it somehow seems that connecting with them is super easy and natural. And I think it's because everyone can relate to one another through our passions for service above self. And that's why talking with them, even things unrelated to Rotary, is really enjoyable for me. And for me, the Rotarian that I need to give praise for being so inclusive and welcoming to me, especially back when I was new to Rotary, has got to be Rick Eisted. I know he's in the call right now. My advice for other youths that are just becoming more involved in the district is to reach out to exceptional Rotarians such as Rick. Although it may seem intimidating at first, truly each and every one of the Rotarians here are more than willing to mentor you through your first steps in your Rotary journey.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tony. Oh, sorry. I think am I frozen for anyone here?
You're all good on my end.
No, you're
all
good.
Good, yeah.
Can you hear us, Danny?
Hello?
No, Danny can't hear us. I'm going to mute you, Danny, and we're going to move along to last but not least, Danny. Can you share your thoughts on this?
Certainly. So what has kept me motivated to continue on with my university's Rotaract Club after being involved for over 4 years is that we're always trying out new initiatives and events, and it makes it really challenging, but also really rewarding. So for example, whereas in one year we might try a certain event that raises money for a certain charity or organization that we are passionate about, in the next academic year, we might have brand new executive members coming into to our executive group and suggest new initiatives and events that we could try. And so we try out new events and initiatives that lead to us raising funds for a different organization. So I think that for me, that's what keeps us motivated and challenged and want to continue to go on further with Rotary to see where it is that we're going to end up in the upcoming year ahead. And so my biggest piece of advice that I can give to new members of the district, whether young or older, is to not be afraid to get involved with new initiatives and events. You never know, you might come up with something so cool and novel that perhaps other Rotary clubs may even want to emulate it because of how successful it was, or to try something similar to what you have done.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny. It's really great to hear from the three of you. And I think that it's interesting too, that concept of really the relationships that we form in Rotary and not being afraid to try something different. I really appreciate that. I think we heard it from Dr. Bowtie. We hear it regularly in Rotary, and just that perspective of to stay engaged is really about the people involved. So thank you so much for your perspectives. I did want to send out a quick reminder to everybody, if you could turn off your video just to help us with any bandwidth issues that could be going on, that'd be really fantastic. Jumping forward, I wanted to move our second question to look at the present. What is happening right now? So the COVID-19 pandemic has undoubtedly impacted the way in which Rotary service projects are being carried out throughout the world. What are some of the ways that your club has overcome these challenges brought on by the pandemic? And how do you think that the pandemic has impacted the way service projects will be carried out in the ensuing years? So Danny, we'll keep you here. Can you start us off?
Certainly, Matt. So yes, as you have mentioned, the pandemic has certainly brought about the added challenge that we are no longer able to host in-person events, and we have to move them to doing them virtually via platforms such as Zoom, what we're currently using as it happens to be. And while this was daunting for us at first, we thought, how are we going to have events, virtual events? But then we realized that we could actually take advantage of this new technology that we have access to really help us to elevate events in ways that we may not have been able to do previously. To give a short example, our university club did an event called Pitch Night in January 2020, just before the pandemic. In this event, a few Rotaractors give a short presentation on a favorite charity that they have, and they compete for monetary donations towards that charity coming from sponsoring Rotary clubs. We did the same event in February 2021 via Zoom, and this event was even more successful than the last one we had because we had twice as many attendees this time around. And of note, some of those attendees were from our district, but did not actually live in the city of Calgary. And so it is likely that they may not have been able to attend our event if it was being held in person in Calgary. And so
Oh, Danny, I think we might have lost you. Let's see. Lost your sound a little bit. Do you want to try unmuting yourself? Just real quick for us.
Does it work now?
Yeah, perfect. You're
Folks
back.
hear me?
Yeah.
What was the last thing you folks heard last
time?
time?
After people outside of Calgary coming in.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So so like I have mentioned, our event was successful in that we were also able to get attendees from outside of Calgary where we might not have been able to do otherwise. And so I think that's the big piece of advice that I can give to other members through these times is to not be afraid to use this new technology and also to seek help on how to use this new technology, because it could help you to reach new heights that you may not have been able to reach otherwise without the use of this new technology.
Awesome. Thanks, Danny. Tony, do you mind share your observations with us as well?
Yeah, for sure. So our Western Canada High School Interact Club, throughout the pandemic, I feel like had an advantage in that all of us interactors are actually pretty good with technology. And I think that puts us in a favorable position because our transition onto an online platform has been relatively smooth. Because of that, although our online initiatives like Interact with Rotaract were a ton of work, they weren't super arduous at all. I feel like one way that our club has found ways to run non-virtual initiatives would be an example for our collaborative fundraiser with Sir Winston Churchill High School Interact Club, in which we raised $4,000 for COVID-19 relief, as well as for Our Eyes End Polio Now campaign. And we did this all through selling enamel pins, which we designed ourselves. And although there were a ton of works and obstacles with hosting this initiative under COVID restrictions, I think we surprised a lot of Rotarians with how clinically we ran the fundraiser. And I think through this initiative, we changed a lot of Rotarians' minds about the capabilities of youth and what can and can't be done non-virtually in these times. I think for me, one positive thing about this whole pandemic is the fact that all of Rotary has essentially been kind of forced to become tech savvy. Mm-hmm. And I think the skill set that a lot of people have just learned now would be really useful for future initiatives, because now there will always be that online/virtual alternative.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that, Tony. Noah, we'll give you the last words on this topic.
Well, so I definitely agree with both Tony and Danny. The pandemic has definitely changed the way Rotary operates, but I think this will ultimately be for the better. As Tony said, technology really allows us to increase the scope and reach of Rotary, and it allows us to involve a lot more people in our events. And as Tony said, technology is a particular strength of a lot of youth. So I think technology gives us a lot of new ways to communicate and collaborate and connect with others. So I think even beyond the pandemic, we'll be able to keep this technological aspect, and it'll really allow us to increase our reach, and it'll just allow us to involve a lot more people, both inside and outside of Rotary.
Oh yeah, thank you, Noah, and our other panelists. You know, I love the kind of ingenuity that we see from young Rotarians and future leaders of our district as well. It really is kind of interesting that, there are these challenges and struggles, but lots of innovation and opportunities that we may not think about. Even, today we have someone on our conference from Brazil. We have 70 new first-time attendees that maybe wouldn't come to a conference if they had to drive all the way to Drumheller. Although the drive is lovely, like, don't get me wrong, go there, check it out. But it could be that we have these access points that are allowing us to do a lot more than we never thought was possible. I think the other thing that's really amazing, and I've seen this in the chat a few times too, is for Rotarians that want to have that extra support or accessing these opportunities, we've got a lot of people ready to go. A lot of youth that know how to do it and are ready to help us. So that's fantastic. Daniela, we have one more question for our panel. Can you kick it off?
Absolutely, Matt. So here is where our panelists get to share their thoughts on what needs to happen to set a great stage for Rotary for the future. So panelists, we know that the future of Rotary is youth. What are some tangible commitments in regard to youth that you would like to see from Rotarians, from clubs, the district, so that we can shape the future of Rotary for you and for generations to come? Tony, can you start us off on this round?
Yeah, for sure. For me, I think one thing that I would like to see more of is just more regular casual connections between Rotarians and youths. I think it's really awesome that Rotarians are attending and supporting us at our big events. But I think what really makes us feel engaged is when we're able to connect with Rotarians on a more casual and regular basis. I think there's this idea going around that as a Rotarian, just attending a youth event means you're more connected with youth. And I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding with that mindset, as that kind of implies that like supporting youth is a sort of event that you tend to maybe once a month. If I were to put this in an analogy, it's kind of like small talk, right? Like asking someone how their day was and then just passing by and not continuing the conversation. Because for me, it wasn't those kinds of infrequent passing by interactions that made me value Rotary so much as a youth. It was getting to know the Rotarians better and constantly conversing with them about anything, really, even life in general. That's made it so much more meaningful for me. That being said, though, I think this needs to go in both ways. Not just Rotarians, but youth as well need to seek out more opportunities to interact with each other. And so far, I think what the district is doing with getting interactors on the district committees, as well as inviting interactors and early actors and Rotaractors to this conference here, is a really good first step.
Thank you so much, Tony. Noah, what are your observations?
Well, I think a very tangible and important commitment that could be made is to help start more early act clubs. So the Early Act Club I originate from is the first of its kind in Western Canada. So I found this very surprising, since Early Act is such a great opportunity, and even beyond Early Act, there are so many opportunities to stay connected to Rotary. So I just found this so surprising, since there's such this great opportunity that exists, but so few people know about it or have access to it. So I think we really need to give people, especially youth, more of a chance to get into Rotary at all levels. And as Tony said, it's very important that we help foster connections between these new people, particularly youth, joining through Early Act, and people in higher levels of Rotary, such as Interact, Rotaract, and Rotary.
Really appreciate that, Noah. Danny, can you close us off on this topic?
For sure. So I just want to begin right off the bat by saying that all of my interactions with Rotarians have been overwhelmingly positive and excellent. And I could say that many of the Rotaractors that I have interacted with can also say the same. Unfortunately, I have heard of some cases where certain Rotaractors have reported less than ideal interactions with a few Rotarians, and it might be due to factors such as unfair prejudices that some Rotarians may have towards Rotaractors or other individuals in general, such as things like ethnic background. And I think this is all the more disappointing to hear, considering that Rotary has a very well entrenched and well established four-way test that many Rotarians are well aware of. For those of you that may not know, the four-way test is a set of guidelines that Rotarians and people in general can use to determine whether their interactions with others are fair and positive. So I think that what this means is that just the presence of the four-way test and this awareness of it is not enough. I think that all members of Rotary have an obligation to ensure that all of our members are adhering to those guidelines. And if there are members that are shown to be straying away from those guidelines, I think it is all members of Rotary their responsibility to ensure that first we're able to point out their mistake and help them to learn and to grow from it as well. And that is one way that I think we can ensure that the interactions between Rotarians and younger members of the Rotary family can be made even more positive and beneficial for all parties for years to come.
Thank you so much, Danny. Fantastic. I really appreciated how you all brought up the value of relationships, of innovation, of new initiatives, of expanding on opportunities that are already available to us all. And the comments on working together and creating positive and personal connections are absolutely crucial to the future of Rotary, as well as keeping everyone involved accountable. I really appreciated that point, Danny, for ensuring that those relationships are positive and that they come to fruition. It is awesome that we have youth like you to drive us forward, and the future looks really, really bright with all of you at the helm. So thank you very much to all of our panelists. They worked really hard to represent their colleagues from Rotaract, Interact, and Early Act. We appreciate your time and your commitment being here with us. And as we look ahead, it seems to me that our Rotary clubs are going to be in very good hands. Thank you so much, everyone. All right, so we are off to our breakout rooms again. Third time is the charm. So now is your chance to share your thoughts around youth in this district after having heard from our awesome panelists. This time, your question to discuss is, what effect do you think youth involvement could have or already has on our district? What are the most critical changes to be made to advance youth involvement and empowerment in the district? To our youth panelists, do you intend to continue with Rotary as you move into the next phases of your life? So anyone who wants to give it a shot, go ahead.
I can give it a go here if the other two panelists don't mind. So yeah, I plan to go to UBC in Vancouver in the upcoming year here. And I very much so plan to continue in Rotary over there at a new district. So I guess you could say this is like my final event here in District 5360. But I'm super excited, but also a little bit nervous about going to a completely new district because I've built so many connections and met so many amazing people here in this district that it's kind of sad to leave everybody. But I'm sure because everything's virtual, we'll connect much more. But yeah, I am planning to continue it.
That's great to hear.
I think I could give another thought on this. So currently, I'm still a university student. So for the upcoming, I think 1 or 2 years, I will be continuing with the Rotaract Club. But after I graduate from my master's degree that I'm currently doing, it really depends on if I will be doing further university studies at that point, in which that case I would try to join a university Rotaract Club. But if not, if I do something else, then I do know that there are at least in the city of Calgary, and I'm sure it's similar for other cities across the country, that they have young professionals Rotaract clubs. So I think that I would strongly consider joining one of those as well, but that would be certainly a few years down the road. So I like to cross bridges when I get there. But I've enjoyed my experience here. So if I can continue to do more of that work in another Rotaract club, then I certainly would like to do so.
Awesome.
That's great. Noah, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I'll definitely be continuing with Rotary. I'm not going anywhere for at least a few years. So yeah, I'll definitely stay connected to this Rotary district in some way.
That's great to hear. And Rotary, anywhere in the world, will always open their arms and welcome you. So thanks so much for sharing, panelists. Matt?
All right. Oh, might be some more technical trouble. No worries. A question I have for the panelists, and I'm seeing some pop-ups that I think are really interesting. And you had highlighted the ways of building relationships, but how do we start that conversation? How does it, in terms of as Rotarians or adults or youth, how do we really build that relationship that would allow us to get youth involved and create a meaningful relationship that allows them to inspire us or that we can empower you? What do you guys think?
If I guess we could go with the same order as last time, if the other
Sure,
panelists don't mind.
Tony.
But yeah, I think one way that we could do this really easily is to set up a Rotary and Interact, Early Act, and Rotaract mentorship system. I know there's one already with Rotaract and Rotary. I think if we expand that to Interact and Early Act, it would be hugely beneficial. Just because this sort of conversation and mentor and mentee situation really helps in creating these strong and lasting connections. For my mentor, like Rick Eisted, like I met him through the mental health conference last year, right? And then we continued to converse in AIPF and following events. And so it's, like I said, really important to have constant and not even formal, it could be casual as well, conversations about anything really. So, yeah.
Tony, I agree. Big shout out to Rick Eisted. He's been helping youth throughout the district for ages. He mentored me. Rick, thank you. I know that those relationships, same for me. That's why I've stuck around. And that's been huge from day one. I think the idea of engaging more early act, interact conversations is amazing because, yeah, I agree. That's such a pivotal way to start. And depending on what youth want, what we want, that's fantastic. Danny, thoughts?
Certainly. Forgive me, but allow me once again to, I guess, continue on with the trend of thanking Rick, and because he's also helped me quite a lot too with mentoring. Yeah, I know we're starting to sound like a broken record, but yeah. But seriously, the guy's a gem for sure. We're really lucky to have him. But to try and answer the question that has been brought up previously is one of the things that I think of, and Tony, you mentioned this in my opinion superbly, like really maintaining that constant communication and ensuring that it's not that small talk that we do once in a while. It's really that continuing on with that I guess that conversation or making those interactions more valuable. And one of the things that I think that, and this goes both ways for Rotary clubs and also for Interact clubs, for Rotaract clubs, Early Act clubs, etc., is when you're making events, see if you can make events that also incorporate other members of Rotary within it. For instance, I'm seeing that certain Rotary clubs are doing trivia nights, and they're trying to encourage Rotaractors and Interactors to join, and I think that's an excellent step that can be taken as well. Really, just to really try to keep in mind that these events that you're doing, to not just try to target other members that are within your, I guess kind of Rotary category, but to try to expand that further and see if you can have those events reasonably often, like a few times in a year, to try and ensure that those that connection is built up over time.
I know. Agreed. Thank you, Danny. Noah, any quick thoughts to add? You also love Rick.
Once again, Danny and Tony have some really great ideas on the matter. I definitely agree with Tony. Some sort of mentorship program would be extremely beneficial for people making that transition. And also Danny has a really great idea with the events and perhaps fostering some slightly more casual connections between early actors making the transition and Rotaractors would also be very beneficial.
Yeah, awesome. Well, and I think, it's what you've all highlighted is that there is some great work being done across the district, and maybe it is, having kind of those roundtables with those who have had a lot of traction, what worked well, what didn't, what can we change. So love all the insights there too.
That's right. We had a couple of questions back a few minutes ago. Panelists, I'm going to put you on the spot again because I think everyone is really enjoying hearing from all of you. So there's a few Rotarians out there that are wondering kind of, the genesis of it. How did you all get started with Rotary?
I think I could start us off with this one. And I've actually found that, interestingly enough, this seems to be a common trend. I know that for my Rotaract, my university's Rotaract club, I think our other co-president, Shirin, who I think is also in this here today, I think this also applies for her. It was actually ended up being a friend of mine who asked me, like, hey, do you want to try this? I was at around first year of university at this point, just to give you folks some perspective. At that point in time in university, still trying to figure out what kind of things to get involved with. I had never been part of Rotary in any way, shape, or form prior to university. My high school didn't have an Interact club, so there was no way for me of knowing about this. So this friend asked me, do you want to try it? And I said, sure, what the heck. Didn't think much of it. Went to one meeting, and I thought, oh, this is interesting, but not so sure if I want to have like a ginormous big responsibility at the time being, but I'm interested enough in trying to be a part of the team that makes some decisions. So I was a junior executive member, and then kind of things went on, time went on, and then before I know it, I'm a co-president of the club. So yes, so it's certainly a process that took some time. I didn't get into it right away, but sometimes good things take their time to develop, and I think that with Rotary, if it takes a little bit of time for you to get established and to have a good idea of what it is that you're doing within your club and perhaps even within the district as a whole, I think that's also okay. It's certainly not a thing that I think should be rushed at all.
That's right, absolutely. And you're right, with Rotary, it's a slippery slope. You start loving it so much that you just want to do all of the things. Thanks, Danny. Tony, how about you?
I think in contrast to Danny's story, mine was actually pretty abrupt. I joined my high school's Interact club because I wanted to be part of a community in the school that was very inclusive and very involved in the community. We had club day, and I saw their booth for Interact, and I saw all the volunteering that they were doing, all the impacts they were having on the community and all the people around. And I thought, this is the club to join for sure. Like, because I knew just right off the bat that like I would meet amazing people in Rotary. And I guess you could say my hypothesis was correct. So yeah, mine was pretty on the moment there. So yeah, that's how I joined Rotary.
Awesome. I love how there's all these different stories. Noah, how about you? How did you get started?
Well, so in grade 5, I was kind of selected to join my Early Act club. So grade 5 was my first year of Early Act. So, and then I just absolutely loved it. So I continued with it in grade 6, and I was selected to be the president of the club in grade 6. So that was great. Oh yeah, and also in grade 6, I got the awesome opportunity to go to an actual Rotary meeting, the Heritage Park Rotary Club. So that was a really great experience for me.
Oh, that's awesome, Noah. Thank you so much for sharing. We are all so happy, no matter the way that you came in, that you are here. And we have been so lucky to hear from you today. So let's give a big thank you to our young leader panelists, Danny Vera, Tony Lee, and Noah Francis. Your responses were so thoughtful, so diverse. You're so full of life, and I just can't wait to see where you all go in the future. Thank you everyone for your participation in the chat as we've been having these discussions. Thank you for your patience with us and for all the kudos that you've given us and the tech team as well. I expect there's still going to be a lot of discussion offline and later on today about the opportunities that are available for youth to have a bigger impact in the future of Rotary. So this concludes our Young Leaders panel. Matt, I believe you have some awards to share with us.
Yes, I do. I also just wanted to echo, thank you again, everyone, for your patience and understanding as we're sorting things out today. But since we're talking about youth and inclusion this morning, we felt it'd be a good time now to present our youth awards. Here to describe and present our awards is our host, District Governor Mary Turner.
Well, thank you so much, Matt. And it is a great time to recognize the youth in our district with our youth awards. So I have the pleasure and honor of being able to do that right now. I'm really excited to recognize our Interact and Rotaract members through 4 awards that are specifically focused on the achievements that they've made in our district this last year. Our district World Interact Week is given to an Interact club which celebrates the founding of the first club meeting during World Interact Week. This year, I am pleased to recognize the Interact clubs of Western Canada High School and Sir Winston Churchill High School in Calgary for their Rotary Health Pin project. This project raised money for the Foothills Hospital COVID Relief Fund and for the End Polio Now campaign. Our District World Rotaract Week is given to a Rotaract club, which celebrates the founding of the first club during World Rotaract Week. And this year, I am pleased to recognize the Rotaract Club of the University of Lethbridge for their Caring Cards for Seniors project. Brand new this year is our very first Outstanding Interactor Award. This award is given to an interactor in our district who shows leadership and dedication at the club and district levels. I'm really pleased to announce that Tony Lee of the Interact Club of Western Canada High School is this year's recipient. Our district is also going to recognize our very first Outstanding Rotaractor of the Year award. And this award is given to a Rotaractor in our district who shows leadership and dedication, again, not only at the club, but also at the district level. And I'm really pleased to announce that Danny Vera of the Rotaract Club of the University of Calgary as the recipient of this year's award. So congratulations to all. This is just amazing work and just so proud of each and every one of you and of the clubs in our district.
All right, now Mary, don't run away. I believe that you have some of our other recognition from the Rotary Foundation that you'd like to share with us.
I do. Thank you, Matt. So we're going to carry on now and recognize some of our Rotary Foundation awards. The following Rotarians are recognized as they have achieved a new donor level status in their contribution to the Rotary Foundation. So with our thanks and appreciation, I'd like to recognize our major donors who have contributed $10,000 US or more to the Rotary Foundation. So the following Rotarians are recognized now as they've achieved a new major donor level in their contribution. And I'll just give you a minute to read through some of these names, and we express our thanks and appreciation to their contribution. Our Bequest Society members are Rotarians who have made a commitment of $10,000 US or more in their estate plans, such as a will, a living trust, or through a whole or universal life insurance program. And I'd like to recognize Carol Rostabuco of the Rotary Club of Calgary at Stampede Park, who has recently changed her Bequest Society status. So thank you and our sincere appreciation for this contribution, Carol. Arch Clump Society members are Rotarians or couples who have given over $250,000 US over their lifetime to the Rotary Foundation. And it is now my honor and privilege to recognize Christine Rendell and Brian Carnahan from the Rotary Club of Calgary East. And I'd also like to thank and recognize Thelma and Victor Maris of the Rotary Club of Sylvan Lake. Thank you for your very generous contributions to our Rotary Foundation. Back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Mary. Congratulations to all our award recipients. It's really amazing to see all the great work that goes on in our district, and really the commitment and service above self that people highlight in these awards. So absolutely amazing. Thank you. Daniela, would you like to wrap up the morning of our conference?
For sure. Thank you so much, Matt. So earlier this morning, when we were talking about the chat function, we asked you all to share one word that best describes Rotary for you or why you're in Rotary. We took all your responses and put them into a diagram called a word cloud. So the more times that the word was used, the bigger that it appears on your screen there. Here is the word cloud for what Rotary means to us as a district family. So it's pretty amazing. Look at how differently, but how the same many of us look at Rotary. Having seen this, is there another word that you would want to add that maybe didn't make it onto the word cloud? You could type it in the chat now. And you know, Rotary means so many different things to so many of us, but they are all beautiful and impactful and wonderful things. And that's one of the powers of Rotary, is that we can all take our own individual experiences and have it become something amazing. Any surprises? Type your comments into the chat. I'll just take a second here to peek at the chat. Transformative, enthusiasm, collaborative. I feel like we could go on until 4 p.m. today just talking about this. So that wraps up our morning session for DISCON 2021. That went by very quickly. How's everyone doing? A little zoomed out, maybe? Let's look at where we're at. So we heard from Dr. Bowtie about inclusion and had a chance to discuss changes that you might like to suggest to make your own club, your lives, your workplaces overall more inclusive. And then we also heard from our Young Leaders panel. They shared their perspectives on Rotary past, on Rotary present, and on the future and where we're going. And we had a chance to learn about them and discuss what changes are important to advance youth within Rotary in our district. So a very full morning. But wait, there's more. When we come back, we'll continue our discussions. This time, we'll hear about mental wellness and the power of Rotary to navigate a new world. It will be an action-packed, informative afternoon that you won't want to miss, including a very special Rotary Awards. The awards aren't over quite yet. And one quick thing before we break for lunch here. As we go for lunch, we're going to be sharing a celebration of life tribute to recognize those Rotarians special to us who have passed away this last Rotary year, and to celebrate the potential of new Rotarians, the babies born to members of our clubs or to their children. Please enjoy your lunch, take in the celebration of life that will be going across your screen during the next hour here, and we'll see you back here at 1 o'clock sharp.
Looking back on the memory of the dance we shared beneath the stars above. For a moment, all the world was right. How could I have known that you'd ever say goodbye? And now I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance. Holding you, I held everything. For a moment, wasn't I the king? But if I'd only known how the king would fall, hey, who's to say? You know, I might have changed it all. And now I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance. It's my life, it's better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance.
I see trees that are green, red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow, and they'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, oh, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of the people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? But they're really saying, I love you. I see trees that are green and red roses faces of the people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? But they're really saying, I love you. I see trees of green and red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think to myself, what a wonderful
Without further ado, let's jump in. Time to get back to our program. We are going to start our afternoon off with a very special award. It's special because it was just created for District 5360. So the Dr. Monty J. Odenart Award. We're going to hear from several people first about the award. So I'm going to turn it over to them to tell you a little bit more about it.
Hello, my name is Hank Popoff, and I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Calgary Chinook. It's my pleasure to share with you why I hold the memory of Monty Odenart in such high esteem. I can attest to the fact that I have never met another Rotarian who has inspired me more than Monty Odenart. I met Monty at a District 5360 assembly, either in Banff or Cochrane, way back in May 1998. I had the pleasure of serving as his District Rotary Foundation Chair during his governorship in 2000-2001. That experience provided an excellent insight into Monty's motivational ability. From the outset, I was inspired by his friendliness, his energy, and his enthusiasm. His dedication and devotion to those who were in dire need of dental services but could not access or afford them became apparent to me in the early stages of our acquaintance. He traveled on his own dime to remote areas of the world, spanning from the Canadian Arctic to the backwaters of Bangladesh, often bunking in primitive conditions. It was Monty's attribute of leading by example that sparked my interest in the Rotary Foundation. I recall during a casual conversation asking him, "What is the right amount to give to the foundation?" He replied, "You should give until it hurts." And then he smiled. That response spoke to the depth of his altruism. I've been involved in the District Foundation Subcommittee ever since. I'll remember him as a standout who remained at the door on the occasion of his governor's ball until the very last guest was seated. He shook hands with each guest, addressing them by their first name. I realized that there were some name tags in place to make it easier, but in general, he had a phenomenal ability to remember people's names. Monty was a remarkable communicator. It would be a rare occasion if you would not receive a reply to a phone or email message within an hour or two, and certainly within 24 hours. This was clear evidence of his time management skills. Truly, the greatest Rotary honor bestowed on me to date has been the receipt of the inaugural Monty Odenart Inspirational Award. His inspiration lives on today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Bonnie Gansky coming to you from sunny Huatulco, Mexico. How to describe our friend Monty Odenart? A man of faith in his maker, in mankind, and in making this world a better place. Monty was a loving husband to Liz, an incredible role model to his children. an encouraging, fun-loving, and influential grandfather, a treasured friend, and a Rotarian in every thought, word, and deed. I joined the downtown Red Deer Rotary Club in early 1998, and a year later, while still learning the Rotary ropes, listened to Monty speak at a noon meeting. His words spoke to my belief system. And while still feeling invigorated by his talk, I was surprised to be sought out after the meeting when he put forth that Sylvan Lake, where I resided, was trying to start a Rotary Club. Would I consider helping out with this venture? Few people I know could refuse a request from Monty. I'm happy to say that I didn't, and am a proud charter member still of the Rotary Club of Sylvan Lake. Monty attended our charter celebration in April of 1999 with a large contingent of supporters from around the district. One of my fondest recollections is having him take part in the entertainment portion of the evening after speeches were given and toasts and well wishes exchanged. Picture Monty, if you will, in a sparkling turquoise gown, a long black wig, makeup, heels, and fishnet stockings, lip syncing to the crowd as Jennifer Lopez. He was a good sport and enjoyed a good time, and his disguise was so convincing, his own club's exchange student didn't recognize him. In his own words, Monty viewed his time serving others around the world as a grand adventure, saying it never felt like work. Rotary, which he joined in 1987, gave he and Liz friends from around the globe, as well as the opportunity to serve the worldwide community. How many of us were inspired by his model of local and international service? Many, and I'm one of them. Monty, recounting his dental mission, saw many of us pick up the international banner and march with it, delivering wheelchairs, doing dental clinics, cataract campaigns, water wells, literacy programs, and so many other important and life-changing pursuits. In our personal situation, I can say, because of the Rotary Wheelchair Campaign carried out in 2003 in Huatulco, Mexico, my husband Dale and I decided to spend our winters here and are proud supporters of the local Club Rotario de Valles de Huatulco. Monty's mantra of leading by example, his ability to communicate and connect on a personal level with everyone he met, touched the world in so many ways. In the words of my friend and fellow Rotarian Scott McDermott, who, like many of us, were moved to our very core by hearing Monty recount his work internationally, Monty moved Rotary from our head to our hearts. How better to describe our friend, our inspiration, Monty Odenard.
The Dr. Monty J. Odenard Inspirational Award, created in our district in 2016. It was created to recognize a Rotarian in our district who inspires others above and beyond. The award commemorates the contributions of Dr. Monty J. Odenard, a Red Deer dentist who served as district governor for RI District 5360 in 2000 and 2001. He went on to serve as RI Vice President in 2008-2009. He was the trustee of the Rotary Foundation at the time of his passing on January the 21st, 2015. With thanks, our district found a special Rotarian who is the epitome of the theme of this award, inspiring others above and beyond. This person is an individual who leads and inspires through example and is highly respected at the club, district, and zone levels. Dedicated to Rotary and what it stands for, and demonstrates devotion through low-key actions, mentorship of future leaders, and significant contributions to the causes of Rotary. At the club level, this Rotarian has held leadership positions as club president twice and co-president 2 other years. Organizer of the Polio Plus activities, bringing attention to this cause across the community. Hosted numerous international exchange students and club facilitator of a major youth project, Extreme by Nature, with the Helen Schuler Nature Center. president of the Waterton Glacier International Peace Park Association in 2011 through to 2013. At the district level, was an assistant governor in 2006 to 2009, was a district peace coordinator and strategic planning committee member. Having achieved Rotary leadership training levels 1, 2, and 3, went on to become a trained facilitator and has led various sessions for incoming presidents. This Rotarian is a Paul Harris Fellow +8, a member of the Paul Harris Society, is a sustaining member, a Bequeathed Society Level 3 member, and a major donor. She is an assistant Rotary coordinator for Zone 24 West from 2018 to the present, and led our district as the first female district governor in 2012 and 2013. I am very pleased to announce that the recipient of the Dr. Monty J. Odenart Inspirational Award is Dr. Fran Leggett of the Rotary Club of Lethbridge East.
Congratulations, Fran. It is truly an honor to present this award to you. Monty and I have known Fran for a long time, and I know that he would be most proud to have you receive this award. Thank you for all your hard work and your help to inspire not just those you know, but people all around the world. Along with the award, the Rotary Club of Red Deer East presents the recipient with a check for $1,000. This is for them to contribute to the charity of their choice to further the work that they are doing. Congratulations, Fran.
Wow, I'm overwhelmed, and I thank everybody very much. I didn't expect this. It was Rotary means so much to me, and it means giving back to the community. And I'll share with you that one of the reasons that I actually tried to be a district governor was I was at a Peace Park meeting and sitting next to Monty, and he put his hand on my hand and said, "This woman should be a district governor." And that moved me at the time, because I certainly didn't think that I had the capability, but it was something that was an amazing experience for me. And this district makes me so proud, and all the leaders in this district. You are amazing, and thank you very much to everybody. Thanks.
Now, I never had the honor of meeting Monty Odenart, but from the stories that we heard, he seems like an incredible Rotarian and person. Congratulations, Fran, on winning the award in his name this year. It's a fitting recognition based on the description of your contribution. So all of our congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Here is a picture of the Monty J. Odenart Award with Fran's name engraved on it, and it will be delivered to you shortly. Thank you so much for everything that you do in the name of Rotary. All right, well, we're going to continue our navigation of the agenda and move on to the topic of wellness. Our next speaker is Karen Gallagher-Burt, who will be sharing her insights on resetting the world with wellness. Just let me give a little description of you here. So Karen is the Director of Community Engagement for the Canadian Mental Health Association in Calgary, where her portfolio includes communications, fund development, and community events. Karen has a graduate degree in social work and has spent her career focused on children at risk and mental health. She wears many hats, but she doesn't like labels. But we're going to give some of her accomplishments, which include being a 37-year life partner, a mom to 50 children, imagine that, a community connector, a self-proclaimed political nerd, and mental health advocate. She readily admits to having a complicated relationship with coffee and wine. You're not the only one, Karen. And it is my pleasure to introduce Karen Gallagher-Burt and her talk on resetting the world with wellness.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Daniela. I very much appreciate being invited here today. I have a very big passion for Rotary and for the work that's done, particularly the fellowship and the work that's done in the community, both large and small. I think that Rotarians are an example of what it is to live a good life. So I'm delighted to be here, and I want to talk a little bit about wellness as it pertains to how things are going right now, particularly in our world with COVID and some of the complications that have come along with this. So the title on working on the wellness side of things, for me, it's always very important to talk about mental health and mental wellness versus mental illness. And what that means to me is that when we think about the opposite sides of those things, one being mentally healthy and one obviously having some struggles, there's a very big continuum. And many of you have seen charts like this where you can sort of figure out what quadrant you're in, where you fit in. And I would say that most of us would right now be sitting in that lower right quadrant where we don't have a diagnosable mental illness, but we kind of have a low level of mental well-being right now. And that is something that collectively as a group that we are dealing with. As a society, this pandemic has given us these strange things going on, that isolation, and it has adjusted everything about how we live, how we work, and how we connect with each other. This example being a Rotary conference on Zoom. Very unusual, very important that we still find ways to connect and be with one another, but it's important to really recognize that in the midst of all of this, every single one of us is having some level of struggle. Absolutely every single one of us. So when I think about this, where am I at right now? Where's my mental well-being? If on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very well and 1 being very low, I would probably put myself around a 6, just over the line into well, but not very far. So I want to pose a question to you, and we're going to put up a quick poll. I want to talk a little bit about where you were before the pandemic in your mental health, and have you choose where you think you fit on this continuum before the pandemic happened in regards to your mental health. Oh, I love how fast people respond. So I love it. I'm seeing very much that folks are focusing on the excellent and the somewhat good. Somewhat poor, there's certainly a small percentage of. And I think if we all look back at that time, if we can recall, because I'm starting to forget what it was like before March of last year, I think we would all say that we're living a fulfilling life. And mental wellness and mental health has very much to do with how you are in the world, how you are fulfilling your own needs, but a good portion of it is how you're able to help society, how you're able to do good things and be part of it. It's a huge component of how we assess our mental health. So I love it. Most of you came in at somewhat good, and just under that at excellent. Absolutely fantastic that those were where you rated yourself then. And don't worry, we're going to talk about where you are now in a little bit. So thank you very much for throwing up that poll. Very much appreciate that. So hopefully you've all been able to see the results there, that we are coming in really with that somewhat good and excellent as a standard practice right now. So given that in mind, that most people are saying that they're feeling pretty good, I want to talk about where we are in the mental health echo pandemic. So we all know all kinds of terms about the virus and different things. We know about virus load. We understand R factors. We've learned things we never thought we'd ever learn before, and perhaps we never wanted to learn. And one of the things that I have learned in the mental health side of things is that while all of this crisis is going on for us, on the back end, there is a slowly building mental health crisis. And I say slowly building because reality is it usually takes about 18 months after an event for the mental health to climb to the point where it peaks, where we are seeing people seeking attention. So I love this chart. It very much comes from a mental health perspective, but also a crisis perspective in the States. And so I want to compare quickly the pandemic to where our mental health is. So you can see there's 6 stages through here. There's a pre-disaster, impact, heroic, honeymoon, disillusionment, and reconstruction. So pre-disaster for COVID was probably last January, February, when we all saw things in the news, things were coming at us. I know I was in Florida and was starting to see some of the numbers come in and a little bit worried, but didn't feel like it was going to impact me. So a little bit nervous, but not very much, wasn't paying attention. And then the impact hit in March, and still being a working person, I went home from work on March 13th, and I've never returned full-time since. I've worked from home in any other way I possibly can. So that was our good impact. The hero stage kicked in shortly after, and this would have been about April, the end of April, beginning of May, where we saw folks like yourselves stepping up to the plate and helping. Hearing about Monty, I can only imagine Monty would have been one of the dentists that came to me, and I had numerous dentists show up and say, I can't use my masks. I can't use my gloves. Can you use them in your group homes? Can you use them to people you support? And much generosity came out during that time. I always compare it to the flood in Calgary when it impacted 100,000 people imminently, but all of the other folks stepped up and said, how can I help? And Calgary turned into a wonderful place, and I know that's across the board in Alberta. After that hero phase, we moved into honeymoon, and that was last summer. Last summer, it wasn't so bad. We could get outside, we could have barbecues, we could see some people safely. We were still seeing our children that don't live at home anymore, and we had some connection, and we were able to really get out and get well in the community, mostly outside because summer was gorgeous. And then something happened in September. And in September, we went into the stage of disillusionment because our kids went back to school. And when the kids went back to school, all of a sudden, for those of us around kids, and that's grandparents, parents, some young folks themselves, the nervousness of society went up. We had some inconsistent messaging across the board from various levels of government, and we started to see where people's mental health declined. It wasn't terrible yet, it was lower, but we were still struggling. Disillusionment usually lasts depending on the event, and this applies to a crisis of any sort. It could be a war, could be a natural disaster, definitely a pandemic. Disillusionment is the longest phase. It's the longest phase of dealing with a crisis. And as you can see on this chart, there are many, many, many trigger events. So when I say that September started it, October we felt it when we had, some of us had Thanksgiving with others, some of us didn't. We started to see these trigger events. Halloween happened, and then it was Christmas, and we kept seeing things go on. And the one thing that I've struggled with is that I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and sometimes it feels like it's a train. That goalpost, that light at the end of the tunnel keeps moving. And I haven't been able to keep myself motivated to think, okay, stay safe, be safe, take care of yourself, as that lack of connection with other people particularly has plummeted. Now, I'm going to own right now, I live with a partner who has struggled for, oh my gosh, 40 years with mental health and is diagnosed with depression. And again, that's on the mental illness side, but he now lives on the mental wellness side where he's able to manage his illness with multiple things. I myself have always been very resilient, able to cope with things. I have a therapist, as I always think anyone who works in the helping field should have someone in the helping field take care of them. But during this pandemic, my mental health plummeted. And last August, I had to start on some medication in order to be fully functional, to be fully connected to the world, and to do the work I needed to do. So I've incorporated all the good things. I've got the exercise in there, the good nutrition. I have someone I speak to regularly that cares for me. And I've had to add a medication in, I believe, for the short term. I don't think this is going to be a long-term case for me, but in order to stay productive and part of the world, I've had to add that in as a component. And that's been during the disillusionment phase. Eventually, there's a positive, folks. Eventually, reconstruction happens. And when reconstruction happens, that's when we have to start to work through the grief. And that's why I call it the echo pandemic, because much of what we're experiencing right now, we're not addressing because we're good people, we're kind people, we're caring for others, we're doing all that good work. But once the pandemic settles, now we have to take care of ourselves. And in that reconstruction phase, in this case, is coming to terms with our grief. So if I were to talk about the pandemic as it affects our mental health, one of the things I would say that I've observed is that the theme we've all had is an experience of grief and loss. And I'm not necessarily talking a loss to someone who has passed away, although many of us had that, and it's been unusual how we celebrate that life. But I'm talking about the loss of liberties. I'm talking about the loss of friendships, the lack of connection, the lack of physical contact and hugs, the many things on many areas. If you looked at all your life areas, all of us have experienced some form of loss in this last period of time. And it's not done yet until we can get back to that living in a healthy world and being able to connect, I think, a little bit more in an in-person case. While this kind of conference is fantastic that you've continued it, we're all looking at it and saying, this is great, but it's not as good as when we can be together in person. So I want you to keep that in mind with yourself, that everybody's experiencing some form of grief and loss. And it's a lens that we need to look through a little bit when we think about our empathy. Sometimes we talk about compassion fatigue, particularly in the helping professions, where you feel like your compassion is just decreasing and decreasing. But as a society, I think we're experiencing empathy fatigue, where we want to be empathetic. We're naturally prone to do that. But right now, we're having a harder time digging deep and finding that level of empathy for everyone out there. I know every time I go in a grocery store and someone goes down the aisle and doesn't follow the arrows, I can feel the anger seep up in me and the frustration. And I want to say something because I want that person to follow the rules, because that's what I'm doing. But I try and pause myself and say, I have no idea what that person's gone through today or in the last few months. I have no idea if they've just lost someone or they've had a really negative experience. And so trying to find that empathy when that anger rises up in me has become a little more difficult and has had to become part of my daily practice because it's so hard to always feel compassion. And that's where I think that empathy fatigue is something that everyone is experiencing. So when we talk about wellness, and again, not focusing on illness, when we talk about wellness and the health professions, we always talk about different aspects of health. Everything from spiritual down to environmental plays a part in how we feel and how we interact with the world. And I think particularly during COVID, a couple of these has been really strained. I would say it would be the emotional side of things, the social side of things for sure. Some of that physical side have absolutely been there, and maybe even keeping yourself intellectually engaged. But for many of us, it's also the spiritual connection. And spiritual certainly doesn't mean religion. Spiritual means whatever it is that practice is for you. And for many of you, Rotary is your spiritual connection. This is your fellowship. You know, the guides that Rotary has really is part of your value system and how you live your life. And so some of that has been affected during this time. And I think it's really critical to talk about what's great about that in terms of how that spiritual connection and that social connection happens with Rotary, but also what we're missing so that we can ensure that when we go back to whatever the world looks like, that we really value the things that matter the most to us and ensure that those are the things that we go forward with and progress with. Like Dr. Todd said this morning, Dr. Bowtie, it really is taking a look at that collective around us and being part of it, and Rotary brings a huge component of that to us. So bear in mind that we're talking about all these different areas. I think that the mental health vaccine is just as important as whether you get a Pfizer or Moderna or AstraZeneca. I think that there's a mental health vaccine out there. And I like to start with the fact that the first things that we're all working on right now is our coping strategies and making sure that we're choosing mostly healthy ones. I don't think there's good and bad on this. I think there are ones that are healthier for us and perhaps less healthy. So I don't know about the rest of you, but I gained the COVID-15 in the first 3 months at home. I think I bought stock in Miss Vicky's jalapeno chips, and there was a lot of wine consumed in my house, mostly by me. And that first few months when you're at home, you're doing all the safe things, you can feel it in yourself that this is not the best way of coping, but it should be over soon and I'll change my habits. Well, it didn't stop. So I had to change my habits or go down that unhealthy path. So I made a decision, believe it or not, December 1, which ruined my Christmas, that I was going to go back on the eating healthy patterns. I brought back in the exercise, but I went back on the eating healthy, have removed the 15 pounds, thank goodness. But that's all about health for me and wellness and well-being and how I am. So what are your coping strategies? Which ones would you say are healthy? Which ones perhaps you could adjust a little bit to move them towards healthy? The second one is always community support. How are you connected in the community? And one of the values Rotary has is about giving and sharing and taking care of others. And so our community support, we often don't think of it selfishly for us, we think of it for everyone else. And that has had to decrease in certain ways, just based on the realities of isolating and being at home and what that looks like. So community support as it pertains to how you live your life of service has been a bit of a challenge. And the other part is accessibility to services. I love that you've actually put on here that there can be some transcription on the bottom, that we're looking at ways of making accessible. And when our 3 young fellows talked about how the young people need to connect with Rotary, paying attention to the ways that we can include people, perhaps with an ability challenge. So we've been doing a lot at Canadian Mental Health of putting out videos. We make sure that they're closed captioned at the bottom. We make sure that there's lots of ways people access our services. The days of sitting in front of a counselor face-to-face are gone in lots of ways, but you can do amazing work on Zoom. You can do amazing work on these platforms. It's not quite the same, but it is something that people are getting used to and it's becoming part of their life. And for us, that's also our peer support. People who have lived experience of mental health and substance use, who now are in a stable place and they're trained to support others who are going through it. And that's also what Rotary does. If you have those 3 things, and if you take a look at how those 3 things impact your life, they build down to those bottom 3. And this is what the value is for CMHA Calgary, is that we believe that how we practice mental wellness and also how we recover is by having connection, belonging. And when those 2 things happen, we have hope. And when we have hope, we're able to be much more stable. We're able to be much more positive in how we look at things. We can take that glass and we can look at it, see it a little more full than empty. Although I'm a pragmatist, when it's half full or half empty, I always think, well, what was happening before? Were you drinking or were you adding? So then I'll know if it's half full or half empty. But that hope, connection, and belonging for me are the magic. And that's the magic of Rotary. And I get emotional when I talk about this because I've experienced this, and I've experienced so many wonderful Rotarians in my life. I know Brian Walton's in here. He's been part of that experience. I know that Ron Procross, who passed away, has been part of that experience. So for me, there's many Rotarians who've shared with me their passion for this community and what it can do and what it can be for individuals. So if we talked about hope, connection, and belonging alone, and this is my wellness journey, the connection part is that reaching out and people reaching to. And I think that's something we struggle with mental health, is that we like to hide it. When we're struggling with our illnesses or really struggling with just how we're feeling, we tend to not to want to bore people or burden people with what's going on for us. So I'm going to offer one suggestion, and this ties very much into what was talked about by our young man earlier, is that in order to create that sense of connection, we have to change some of our language. So one thing I will challenge you all on is that naturally, and I think this is very much a Canadian trait, we talk to people, we say, hi, how are you? We say, I'm fine, how are you? And that's our natural response. We've got it rote now. It's the way we're supposed to respond. I'm going to ask you to add one more word to that sentence. And it's going to be, how are you today? Because we all know the last year has been pretty crappy. So if we're asking a general, how are you? You really aren't asking me genuinely how I feel. You're really not looking for my honesty. When you say, how are you today? I can focus on that a little bit more. And I can tell you the strengths of the day. I can tell you the challenges of the day, but I don't go back to that place of dwelling on the last year and 3 months. It's been terrible. It allows me to focus on the goodness within me. And that's one thing I'd ask you to practice, is that, how are people today? Asking that question a little bit differently. And then the other one that my mom taught me was that God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them proportionally. I don't do very well at that because I present for a living, but being able to listen to how people respond to you and listen with intention, not with formulating your answer in your head at the same time, which most of us do. While we're listening to someone, we're thinking about how we're going to respond. It's about that being in the moment and saying, you know what, I'm going to focus on you. I'm going to pay attention to you right now, and I'm going to hear what you have to say and see how I may support you, not necessarily help you, but support you. When we build that connection, when we create that sense of belonging, I guess you do in the Rotary clubs, then you break that hope out there. That hope becomes a flower and it blossoms. It becomes very much, and I love the visual here where your brain is sprouting with goodness. And all I can feel is all the great chemicals coming in my brain, the good feelings that come out that make me feel like I'm of value to this world, because many of us have been struggling with that. What is our value right now and what's going on? So focus on those good things. I think the theme of 2020 is going to be a lot different. I think that, or 2021, I apologize. I'm stuck on 2020. I think 2021 is going to be about resilience. And I think we've seen that already. It's going to be this recovery and what that looks like. And it's going to be a chance to reconnect and refocus. Lots of R words here, but for me, they're very passionate for me, because all of those words are about doing something again that I already had. So it is reinvigorating those relationships. It's pulling them in. But that refocus is a time for us, honestly, to purge some things out of our life. There's things that we haven't done in the last year and 3 months that we don't want to do again. I don't ever want to go to the office 5 days a week ever again. I've discovered that 2 to 3 days at home every week actually allows me to practice wellness much better. I can go for my walk in the middle of the day. I can have some connection with my neighbors and my community. I can run to the store if I want to, but I'm allowed to get out and be part of the world in careful ways by being at home. And that for me has been magical. And being able to be around my husband, I actually like being around him, but being around him those days and having those walks with him has extended our couple time tremendously. So this is what I see coming forward, is this wonderful words and wonderful refocus about how we can live and be in community. So I'm going to show some of the things here about how you connect with CMHA Calgary. And when I do my presentations, oftentimes people say to me, well, it feels like you're always trying to push on us what your connection is to promote you. We talk a lot about followers and engagement. Well, actually, I don't put these out there for that reason. I ask people to connect with us and join these things, because when you share that you follow these areas, then you're a safe person to talk to. You create safety for other people to come to you because they know that you've normalized mental health and mental well-being for you. Now, CMHA Calgary, we're one of 8 CMHAs in the province of Alberta. We do things, all of us have the same vision and values, just like Rotary. We have those things that we do across the country, but how we do it is local, based upon the community around us. So I know we have folks here from Lethbridge, Bridge and Medicine Hat and Red Deer. Those are locations where there are other CMHAs, much smaller, but they're doing the same kind of good work out there. CMHA Calgary and CMHA Edmonton partner on a lot of things, and sometimes it's the Oilers and the Flames rivalry in certain extents. But one of the things that every one of us agree upon is that right now, caring for our mental health is absolutely the most important thing we can possibly do in our community right now. I want to remind folks, so far, you have survived 100% of these awful days. This too shall pass. This too shall pass, and there shall be a time when we're doing that reconnection and that focus on wellness for all of us. When you think about it, I want to remind you that it also takes time to change habits, but change one thing each day and your world changes. If you can change one habit with your wellness each day, whether it's that walk, whether it's that reaching out and connecting to someone, whether it's going and making sure that you have at least one nutritional meal today, each day, and maybe not so many Miss Vicky's chips, those are the things that will change us going forward in our community. Mental health is so critically important, and it has always been something that has not been a big focus by any level of government. I am hoping that right now, with what's going on, we're going to see a shift in that in terms of how we're funded. But in the meantime, our work is community-based and is not-for-profit based. And so I know that many of you have donated today to support Canadian mental health in Calgary. And I am so, so privileged and proud to be part of that and to be able to say a big thank you. I know Mary's going to talk more about that. So those are some of the nuggets I wanted to share today. I want to thank you for what you continue to do, which is to be that service club to outside, but also to inside, to the folks that are around you. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to open it up potentially to some questions if you have any.
Thank you so much, Karen. That was incredible to hear from you. The visuals were so engaging. Thank you very, very much. We do have just a couple of minutes here for maybe only one question, but if you do have questions, pop them into the chat, and maybe you could find a time to connect with Karen in another way to try to get some of those questions answered. But the one question that I had for you at this point, Karen, is what are a couple of kind of your favorite or those tried and true ways to address the stigma of mental health within our communities and make it a less, taboo conversation?
I think it's keeping the conversation around mental health, not around mental illness, because most of us automatically go towards the ill side versus the well side. And so making it part of your regular routine to talk about when you have a challenge. I don't think everyone has to disclose if they've had a diagnosis. I don't think that's necessary. In the world that we work in and the world that we're in, I think it's more important to look at the whole person than it is to look at one piece of them. When I describe my friends who might have a mental illness, or when I talk about my husband, I tell them all he's a successful businessman, he's been a fabulous life partner, he gave in to me and let me be a foster parent and raise 50 kids because he would only let me have 2. But he's done all these wonderful things. And by the way, he struggles with depression. It is not who he is, and it doesn't define you. And I tell anyone who tells me they have a mental illness, that is not your definer. That is one tiny piece of who you are. So be vulnerable, be brave, and share a little bit where appropriate.
Absolutely. That is so, so appreciated. And I hope that we can all take some of these learnings from Karen and really put them into our own lives in every aspect of our lives, because mental health is something that is with us wherever we go, right? And that we can all start that transition into mental wellness. So thank you so, so much, Karen. We'll be going back to our tables now, our breakout rooms, and discussing the following question. So please share 1 or 2 examples with your table of how your Rotary experience contributes to your own wellness. I think that we've all got a lot of great thoughts about this, if our word cloud had anything to say about it. So you'll have just about 12 minutes at this point to discuss. So I think our tech team is working on getting everyone into breakout rooms. Hello again, everyone. All right. I'm just going to wait for the participant number to stop climbing. I think most everyone is back here. So really hoping that you were able to get some good discussion in. I know it seems like such a short time. And sorry if anyone kind of got cut off while you were talking when we moved back to the main room. It's hard to find that sweet spot in timing where it's not too short, not too long. But hopefully you'll be able to connect with the people in your breakout rooms.
Daniela, can I just steal the stage for one more minute? Just
Yes,
really
for
quickly.
sure.
So, you know what? I am always blown away by people's honesty. And in that room, there was a lot of honesty today. But I think one of the things we need to remind each other, and I know Velma's in here, and I know Velma works as a therapist, that oftentimes when we talk about this, it can be triggering. And it can be really difficult for us. So right away, I want to put out there that if something about this session particularly, but even talking about how we're missing things, if it some way triggered you, please reach out for some help and support. There's lots of great resources out there. You obviously have each other, but sometimes we're at that breaking point, and it would be remiss of me if I didn't remind folks that there's a lot of great services out there for help and support. My number was on the very first slide, or my email. I always open myself up for connections to find out how you could help people. So keep that in mind, that if something's triggering today, there's help out there. Oh, I see our second poll is going.
Thank you so much, Karen. That is absolutely crucial for us to keep in mind, that these things can be really difficult to address and to talk about, but there's so much support out there. And thank you for bringing forward all of the different supports that we're able to access to. Yes, some of you might be seeing our second poll. Somewhat excellent is kind of the winner here, and excellent and average, all kind of in the top 3 of the 6 tiers, which I'm really glad to see that everyone is having a good day today. Hopefully this kind of connection, even though it's virtual, has been helpful for everyone in terms of just feeling pretty good. So before we close our speaker session with Karen, we actually have an additional special thank you for Karen. So I'll pass it on over to Mary.
Thanks so much, Daniela. And Karen, I just wanted to express sincere appreciation for your talk this afternoon. It's certainly timely, and I think you put us all in a very good light as we move forward through the pandemic into our post-pandemic period of time. But the thing that I really want to share with you particularly, and with everyone on the call today, as you know, when we started the planning for the district conference, we identified the Canadian Mental Health Association as a charity of choice for the opportunity for Rotarians to donate to the charity if they felt so inclined. And it's my honor and thrill to let you know that as of yesterday, we have $11,135 to donate to the Canadian Mental Health and Wellness. So again, sincere appreciation for all you do, for your colleagues, for all of the hard work that you're putting in behind the scenes to help us all through this period of time. So thank you so much for everything, and just thrilled to be able to contribute that to your hard work.
Oh, that is fantastic. Thank you so much, Mary, and thank you to all the participants who helped out by contributing to that donation. That is such exciting news. So with that good news, it's been another hour, if you can believe it, here at your screens. So maybe we need a couple of minutes here to stroll around, take a break from the screen. It's, you know, after lunch, maybe fill up that cup of coffee to get us through the next few hours here, alert and awake. So let's come back together at 2:05 in about 7 minutes here. And then we're going to hear about the power of Rotary, which I'm very excited about.
So I would like to move it forward with sharing some of the Rotary International Awards to be presented to our district members this year. So I'm going to turn it over to Mary Turner to lead us through the awards.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. And now we've come to our special time in our program today to recognize Rotarians and clubs across our district who are just incredible from Rotary International perspectives award recognition program. So Rotary International Awards are applied by specific Rotarians in our district following a very specific nomination process set out by Rotary International. And once received, Rotary International chooses worthy recipients. And I'm just really honored to announce 4 specific awards for this afternoon. The first one is the Service Above Self recipient. The Rotary International Service Above Self Award is Rotary's highest honor for individual Rotarians. This award recognizes only 150 people worldwide who have demonstrated exemplary humanitarian service with an emphasis on personal volunteer efforts and active involvement in helping others through Rotary. Our district is blessed to have a very deserving Rotarian with Rotary's highest honor, a dedicated Rotarian to her club, to the world through decades of selfless service. It is my honor and privilege to award the Rotary International Service Above Self Award to Barbara Young of the Rotary Club of Calgary. Barb, you'll be receiving an amazing pin and a beautiful crystal as shown on the next slide. Our sincere congratulations on achieving this incredible recognition from Rotary International with the Service Above Self Award. Our second award that we are honored to be able to get to show to a Rotarian in our district is the Regional Service Award for a polio-free world recipient. Creating awareness through action, engaging Rotarians from across our district to become interested in eradicating polio is certainly a challenge. Inspired to lead this challenge through her own personal involvement in National Immunization Days on a number of occasions has created a spark which burns now as a flame in this Rotarian to move the needle in ending polio in our world. It gives me great pleasure to announce that the recipient of the Service Award for a Polio-Free World is to Marlene Doherty of Calgary West. Super excited for you, Marlene, and in all of your hard work and your efforts going forward as our polio champion to eradicate this horrible disease in our world. Congratulations. Our third recipient for a Rotary International Award this afternoon is a citation for meritorious service. Our district is recognized throughout Zone 28 and Rotary International for our leadership and stewardship of our Rotary Foundation. Dedication and commitment to others through mentoring, teaching, and supporting Rotarians with their passion has been a key to the successful Rotary projects across our district. I am pleased to recognize Jamie Moorhouse of the Rotary Club of Stampede Park to receive the Rotary International Foundation Citation for Meritorious Service. This district is very excited to recognize Jamie for his hard work and leadership. Congratulations, Jamie. And finally, our fourth Rotary International Award is for Distinguished Service. This award honors individual Rotarians who have demonstrated exemplary service to the foundation. Recipients must have previously received the citation for meritorious service. And I am very pleased to recognize Walter Hazel of the Rotary Club of Calgary for the Rotary Foundation Distinguished Service Award. Congratulations, Walter. And Walter will be receiving this amazing crystal and pin. And you know, we found out about this just yesterday afternoon at 12 o'clock. So how timely is this to be able to recognize Walter this afternoon at our district conference? So congratulations to all four of our Rotary International recipients this afternoon. We are thrilled and honored with your service above self.
Oh, thank you, Mary. And congratulations to Barb Young, Marlene Doherty, Jamie Moorhouse, and Walter Hazel. Your contributions are role models for the rest of us. One thing I love about district conference is I always come away so inspired hearing about the different Rotary members and what our district is recognized for. So, you know, this is normally where there'd be a standing ovation and claps and cheers. I know we turned off our videos, so great to see all the comments coming in on the chat. You guys are fantastic. if you want to join me in a quick reaction round of applause, hands up, wherever you are, maybe take this to do it, the wave or something. But amazing. Thank you so much. Congratulations to everyone. Really, really thank you. And thank you, Mary, for presenting those awards. Up next, our presenters are going to share with us a little bit of the power of Rotary. So we're going to have share Christina Hassan's personal journey and their approach to navigating the new world. To begin this session, we're going to hear from 5 Rotarians around the district, and they're going to answer the question, what is your Rotary story?
Hi, I'm Graham Giffen from Drumheller. I was introduced to Rotary through a great Rotarian and good friend, the late Ted Earl, and a group of people dedicated to making the world a better place. My passion is helping make our community a better place to live, work, and play. Welcome all to the 2021 District Conference. I hope you enjoy your day.
Hello everyone, my name is Leah Nyson and I am the current president of the Rotaract United E-Club. I am currently out for a walk today in between my busy schedule and my exams, but despite my crazy life as a student, Rotary still plays an incredibly important part in my life. And the thing that keeps me coming back every week is really the community. I get to meet new people every week and I really enjoy that. So, thanks.
Hi, I'm Jim Crawford with the Olds Rotary Club. My wife was a founding member of the Olds Rotary Club. She's been a member for over 20 years. And I was involved a little bit with the club, but was never a member until one day she came home and told me the Los Amigos project was on, and I had a chance to apply to go and drive a fire truck or an ambulance to Mazatlan. It appealed to me. I thought it'd be fun, but I had to become a member. So that kind of held me back, but I finally decided, what the heck, I'll join for a little while, do the trip, and then see what happens. Anyway, I made the trip. I've made 2 trips to Mexico with Los Amigos. I've been involved in our club for over 4 years now, and we are planning the 3rd trip to Mexico, driving fire trucks and ambulances. It's been a great experience. I'm enjoying Rotary, and I have made so many friends, and there's so many great people involved in Rotary, people that I never realized were there before I joined. It's been a great experience.
Hello, my name's Margie from Medicine Hat. See whether you can identify my Rotary passion. It lies with a program for young adults with 3 main components: vocation, culture, and service. We've just hosted 22-year-old Juba from Sao Paulo for an 8-week virtual program here in our district. The spin-offs have been phenomenal, ranging from connecting clubs within our district to project ideas from our district already taking root in Sao Paulo, and connections being made between Rotaract clubs in the 2 districts, and more. Yes, my passion is the new generation's service exchange program. It's life-changing for all.
My name is Garfield Ganong. I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Calgary West. I've been a Rotarian since 2001. Why did I choose Rotary? I've always had a drive to give back to my community through charitable service. Like you, I am grateful for being lucky enough to have been born in Canada and thankful for all that means in terms of personal freedom, security of housing, food, and person that so many in our world can only dream of. I've been a member of other service clubs, including the Active 2030 Club and Kinsman for many years in both Alberta and Saskatchewan. In 1999, when our family returned to Calgary, I again wanted to become involved in giving back. My inspiration for joining Rotary was my father, who was a Rotarian and club president in Fredericton. By joining Rotary in Calgary, I could honor his memory by becoming re-engaged in charitable service. The passion of all the Rotarians I have met since then has kept me rejuvenated and inspired. I expect that all of us at one time have said, at least to ourselves, If not me, then who?
It now gives me a great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Christina Hassan. Christina Hassan has many titles and many accomplishments. Mother of two, wills, estates, and trust lawyer at Van de Leek Law in Calgary, co-founder of Full Soul Canada, a nonprofit organization aimed at equipping hospitals in Uganda with medical supplies to protect the health and safety of mothers, babies, and practitioners during childbirth. In late 2018, Christina was chosen as one of 7 in the world for United Nations People of Action Young Innovator Award from Rotary International. Most recently, both she and her husband, Haider Hassan, was recognized in the Avenue's Top 40 Under 40. An avid Rotarian, Christina has played many roles. Past district chair of the New Generation Service Exchange Program, past chair of RILA in District 7080, past president of the University of Waterloo Rotaract Club in 2010, interactor in 2008, exchange student to Germany in 2006 and 7, and now she's president-elect for her club, Fish Creek in Calgary. In all her work, Christina embodies the Rotary motto of service above self and looks to her Rotary mentors for support through her various socially responsible initiatives. An incredible journey that she says has only begun. Christina, over to you to share with us your version of the power of Rotary.
I just want to reflect a bit on those vignettes. Thank you very much for the introduction. It's always a pleasure to be able to speak to everybody in our district, especially in these times where I haven't seen a lot of you for quite some time. It's nice to even just see familiar faces on Zoom. So it's been a pleasure to be here with you guys today. And my first slide here is powerful, right? I mean, that's the only word I can think of to describe those 5 videos that we just listened to from across the district. And I wrote some notes as each of you spoke. And Graham, you started out and standing proudly welcoming us to Drumheller, which is where we would be standing right now if not for COVID-19. And I laughed to myself because just a few weeks ago, my family and I stood for the first time in front of that massive dinosaur. And my 3-year-old son, Harris, was scared. We were driving through town and pointing out all the dinosaurs that were walking down the street or sitting on benches or up high on buildings. And he was comfortable from inside the car, but the moment we were to get out in front of this big dinosaur, he clung to me, unwilling to let his feet touch the ground. So I did what every good parent does. And I lied. I told him that if he wore his sunglasses, that the big dinosaur wouldn't be able to see him. And it worked. And here he is standing in much the same place as you were there, and just feeling completely confident and parading around the largest dinosaur in the world because he couldn't see him. There's power in those sunglasses, and wearing those sunglasses gave him the power to be able to take this picture and feel walking around freely. Graham, I saw that same power as you stood in much the same place, welcoming us to your community. As you said, a place that you have the power to help change for the better. I'd like to think that Rotary to you is much like my son's sunglasses. It gives you the power to make a difference, to help your community, to be a better place to live, work, and play, as you mentioned. Margie, I wanted to talk about your video here. So you spoke to one of the most powerful things that Rotary has to offer, in my opinion, and that's our youth programs. I was lucky enough to meet Juba, our NGSE student that you hosted, Margie, and while we hosted her remotely, I could feel her energy and excitement through Zoom as we showed her, the sights of sound and sounds of Calgary. I started my Rotary journey much like Juba. I was an exchange student back in 2006 and 2007. And Margie, just like you said, I was like every other exchange student, and there have been so many powerful spin-offs that have evolved, since that time in 2006 of getting on the plane and going off to Germany. And I'm standing here in front of you because of one of those spin-offs, right? I was, this is me, a 16-year-old student looking for an opportunity to do something different. I applied to be a youth exchange student. I'd heard about this cool program from a friend of mine that I worked with. And I got the application process, which I'm sure is all online now, but back when I did it, it was this really long, big, thick application, and there's a page full of rules. You could only use blue ink, and this page had to be done before this page, and you had to have 3 copies of every page, a medical form, a consent form, a list of countries you wanted to go to, and the list goes on, right? And as a 15-year-old kid, it was pretty intimidating, but a good sort of hurdle that I had to overcome in order to put in my application. And I was luckily selected by my club, Thamesville, Ontario, small town. Fortunately, that club doesn't exist anymore, but it did back then. And I was excited to be called to the district for an interview. Now, I lived in southwestern Ontario, and we had a multi-district. So there were about 110 students that were being sent on exchange that year. And the interview was not only for us, but it was also for our parents. So they split the big group of us. We were at this university campus in I think, Ann Arbor, Michigan. And they split us up into 2 groups. And then Roger Bentledge, who was the youth service committee chair, the outbound committee chair, stood up and asked us all potential exchange students, please line up on the backside of the room. So we all stood up, and then he told us that each of us needed to come to the podium, and in 1 minute or less, we needed to tell the whole audience about ourselves. Could be anything, your name, your age, what you do for fun, anything at all. Now, that moment pushed me outside my comfort zone, standing in front of 150, 200 people, and telling them about myself, without any forewarning or notice, can be scary. But I realized why Roger did that. He did it because he knew that better than me, that once I was selected to be an exchange student for Rotary, the entire year was going to be outside my comfort zone. And I had the most amazing year in Germany. I learned the language, the culture, made friends from all over the world. The typical youth exchange student where you can't even put into words the impact that it has on your life. When you're a 16-year-old kid and doing a year-long Rotary exchange, I find that the Rotary values just intertwine so much with who you are that it's impossible to parse out what it means to be to you alone without Rotary anymore. At least that was my experience. And, I'm 15 years out from my youth exchange, and I'm still getting spinoffs from those experiences. Just like Juba, I went home feeling like I had a superpower. And that superpower was Rotary. Excuse me. More specifically, that superpower were fellow Rotarians. And, people always like to ask, young kids, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And at age 16, the only thing I knew for sure was that I wanted to grow up to be a Rotarian, because I wanted the superpower too. Margie, thank you so much for all the things that you do for youth programs in our district. And just know that those powerful spinoffs are indescribable, and everything that we do in our district, I'm far, far away from my original home district, and making spinoffs all over the world. So really is quite impactful and impossible to really describe how powerful these experiences are. So thank you all for what you guys do for youth. I wouldn't be here without that. Now, Leah, I loved listening to your video. It reminded me of my early days in Rotaract, days where I'm up to my eyeballs in exams and assignments and doing a million things, but somehow, like you, always having time for Rotary. And I loved meeting new people. And little did I know that one day in the middle of a snowstorm, I would attend a Rotaract meeting held in the back of a bingo hall, and I would meet a new person, and that person was the charter president of the Brampton Rotaract Club in Ontario, and now today stands as my husband, and with our family of 2 kids. So never know who you're going to meet in Rotary and Rotaract. That's definitely something that's been a benefit for me for sure. And prior to COVID, Monday nights would be sort of our Rotary date night, right? It may sound dull to people outside of Rotary, but for me, I can't think of a better way to start off my week than, being with a group of like-minded people and learning and growing and bettering our wider community together. I really can't describe anything better than that. Now, Jim, my favorite part of your video was when you said, I had to become a member. Now, I had to, if I wanted to do Los Amigos, I had to become a member. Now, I would say that being a spouse, you were already a member of Rotary and part of the Rotary family, but I'm very happy that you're officially a member of the club in Olds and doing such great work with Los Amigos. Your story is a perfect example of how Rotary empowers us to follow our passions. And a lot of us have come into Rotary by following our passions. And my son's about to come into the room. Yep, there he is. Sorry. Paris, Mommy's talking now, okay? No, Mommy. Yes. Okay, I'm actually talking. Okay, thank you. That was bound to happen. He hasn't come in the entire time. And of course, when I'm speaking, he comes in. But, as I was saying, personal passions, we all have our personal passions, and Rotary is a place where we can find the power to follow those. And for me, one of my personal passions is maternal health in East Africa. And some of you may have heard of my project, Full Soul Canada. It started because a Rotary Club in Kitchener-Waterloo donated $2,000 toward my flight to Uganda. So I was 23 years old. I was finishing up my undergrad degree from the University of Waterloo, and I found myself with a job offer to teach a master's in public health at a university in Uganda. And when I boarded the plane, I felt like I was finally getting my chance to go make a difference in the world. And I had all the tools and all the supplies, and I was going to really make an impact in maternal health in Uganda. So I planned lectures and developed slides. And as I prepared for my first class, which was an introduction to maternal health in Uganda, I rambled off all the statistics that I'd read about in my preparation for coming. The first one, 16 women die every day in Uganda. And then I said, life expectancy in Uganda is 54.1 years. And then I said, Uganda has the 11th highest maternal mortality in the world. And lastly, only 42% of births occur at a hospital with a skilled midwife present. As I went through my slides and I discussed statistics with my class, I talked about some of the reasons why these statistics were happening from the research and why this was happening. And I realized that as I was saying all these stats, the students in my class were wincing. And I slowly realized that these were just numbers for me, but my students felt each statistic because they personally knew someone who had passed away due to childbirth. I couldn't truly imagine what that meant. And when I realized how out of touch I was with my students, I went to the Rotary Club of Mukono and I sought out a doctor. And I said, hey, can I shadow you? I want to, work in the hospital. I want to learn more about maternal health. I need to know more. And the next week, in good Rotary fashion, I was introduced to the midwives at the Mukono Hospital, and I was quickly put to work. And unlike volunteering in Canada, in Uganda, they wanted me to take vitals and measure blood pressure and take blood samples and do ultrasounds and ultimately help deliver babies. So my undergrad degree in health science was pretty useless in these moments. And I tried to describe my education to the midwives and my inability to draw blood or, do anything really. And they finally gave me a job counting out anti-malaria medication and passing it out to women waiting outside. And I was doing that until one of the midwives came running into the room I was in and said, Christina, we need your help in the delivery room. Now at this point, I hadn't ever been in a delivery room and I had never seen a live birth before. But I followed her into the room and she gave me a pair of gloves, which are a very valuable commodity in the hospital. And I put them on with great care and I followed her into the room. And the closer I got to the bed, the more blood I started to see. I noticed there was a woman on the delivery bed and I looked at her sort of unsure of what was happening. Had the baby been delivered? Was she still pushing? What was going on? And the more I looked, the more blood I saw and the more closer I felt to passing out. And as I looked away from Alice, who's the woman on the delivery bed, I noticed that all the doctors and midwives around her were looking at me, pleading that maybe my useless undergrad degree could save this woman. But all I could do was look back at them, hoping and praying that there was something that they had that they could do to help her. Instead, all of us just looked at each other, gloved hands, willing her to live. And Alice passed away in front of me that day. And as the light, left her eyes, I was shook by the power of the human soul. I left the hospital, that hospital room and hospital that day, and I was crying and I was angry and I was, how can this happen? How could a woman die in childbirth? How could I have been so stupid to think that I could come here and help? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a midwife. I don't have deep pockets. I don't even have my undergrad degree, and it wouldn't help anyways. I don't have political ties. I can't do anything. I have nothing to offer. And I went home and I didn't really have many people to talk to. And I felt broken inside. I went back to my house and I cried and I wrote in my journal, and I realized I really had two options, kind of like youth exchange. If you're going through something rough on exchange, you can call your parents and say, I want to go home, or you can stick it out and hope for the best and kind of persevere, right? And build that resilience we just talked about. So I decided that I would stay. And one of the other reasons was because, the Rotary Club of Kitchener-Waterloo had given me that $2,000 for my flight. And I knew that when I got back to Canada and went back to the club to thank them, they were going to ask me, how my trip was. And, normally when people say, oh, how was your trip? How was your experience? You say, oh, it was good. And then, that's it. You don't have to really answer. They don't ask any more questions. But that's not the same thing when you're in a group of Rotarians, right? I mean, they always ask you something more. Someone asks you something bigger. Someone pushes you outside your comfort zone and asks further questions. And I knew that was going to happen. And that was another reason that pushed me to find more answers to the questions that I had. And if the reason I was there was to learn, then let me be a sponge and go out and learn as much as I possibly could. So I stayed, and by the time I left Uganda, I'd helped deliver over 200 babies and watched dozens of women and children pass away. And when it came to make a presentation after my 4 months, when I came back, I stood in front of the Rotary Club in Kitchener-Waterloo, and I shared about my experience. And to my dismay, one of the Rotarians asked me, so, now that you've had this experience, what are you going to do about it? And how can we help? So here I was again, trying to find solutions. And Jim, you talked about forcing you out of your comfort zone, and, Rotarians forced me out of my comfort zone too. And they told you in order to help at Loss of Egos, you have to become a member. And they told me that I had to do something about what I saw in Uganda, and as a result of that push, Mazatlan is benefiting from emergency vehicles, and you're here with us today as a spinoff of all the work that you've done to date within Rotary, beyond just the work in Mazatlan and Los Amigos. Likewise, in Uganda, our updated conservative estimate of our yearly impact is 43,800 safer deliveries for mothers, children, and healthcare workers. We talk about the multiplying effect and impact that you can have with a global grant, right? You've all been to those, or many of you have been to those presentations where you say, okay, if you put $1 in, it matches here, it matches here, it matches here. And then, this is the final big number you get at the end. What about the multiplying effect of the work we do as Rotarians, as we strive to put service above self, all those spinoffs, how are we calculating those? And just think about the impact that we have on that. I think Garfield, from Rotary Club Calgary West, I think he said it best, if not me, then who? That was similar to the position I was put in. Okay, if not me helping in Uganda, who? I have the backing of so many people and so many Rotarians that are going to help me and push me forward. So why shouldn't it be me? And again, the impact now is astronomical. And that's just talking about safe deliveries. And that's not even calculating the spinoffs. Garfield is your mindset is important because it helps us to overcome obstacles and navigate this new world of Rotary, especially these last 15 months. And you're right, we're so lucky to be in Canada and live where we live. We may not have our entire country vaccinated, and we may not believe in every decision that our political leaders have made, but we can still be grateful for where we're at. No matter what COVID threw at us, We found a path forward as Rotarians, we keep coming back to meetings, keep trying to adapt our volunteering and innovating our programs. I mean, look at this district conference and how different it is than before, right? I mean, we're innovating, we're still trying to connect and make the world a better place. And I'm sure, if I sat down with Mary, our district governor, and she's zoomed into meetings across the district, and I'm sure she's found powerful stories and conversations and connections and ways that we're all making a difference in our communities, especially now in these times. And we're suffering right through COVID with the rest of the world, but I think we have to be, grateful that we have something special between all of us, and we all have a superpower. We have Rotary, and just like my son in Drumheller, can escape from a massive dinosaur by wearing his superpower sunglasses, we can harness the power of Rotary. Anything is possible. You can create life-changing programs like Margie and Medicine Hat, or drive down vehicles from Olds, Alberta, all the way down to Mazatlan in Mexico, or meet new people at the United E-Club with Leah. I mean, the stories that we could have had a million vignettes and they would all be different and all tell that same story, and that same superpower would shine through. Graham, Garfield, you guys both said that what makes us special is our common goal to make the world and our community a better place. I know for a fact that my superpower is Rotary, and all I have to do is figure out how to use it.
Awesome. Thank you, Christina. Sorry, I have to cut you there a little bit. I think we got you right there. That was amazing. Thank you so much again for your heartfelt story. This is the second time I've heard it, and the second time I felt it, and I don't know, I think I was on camera, everyone saw it too. It really, thank you again, and thanks to everyone for those different district Rotarians who shared their stories as well. We've had a discussion and a chance now to tell different Rotary stories and come together, but we're gonna jump off to our breakout rooms one more time to discuss how are you using your Rotary superpower? How are we, if not me, then who, and how are you pushing that forward? So we're gonna give 10 minutes for everyone.
Own passion for Rotary and how they put it in action. So let's see what some of our members and clubs across our district have done this past year. District award recipients are nominated by our district Rotarians and are selected by the district governor and the awards committee. Recipients will be coming to you. Recipients will be shortly announced, recognizing all of their accomplishments. The first award that I'd like to recognize this afternoon is the Significant Service Award. This award recognizes a club whose project has addressed a significant problem or need in their community. And it gives me great pleasure to recognize the Rotary Club of Raymond for their work on building tiny homes for homeless Indigenous neighbors, where homeless Canadians now have a roof over their heads and shelter from the storm. Congratulations to the Rotary Club of Raymond. Avenues of Service Awards are nominated by club presidents who recognize Rotarians in their club who participate in service activities in one of the 5 avenues of service in an exceptional level. And I'm honored that 2 club presidents in our district received that call to action and were able to name Rotarians in their clubs for this particular award. So we have 2 Rotarians receiving the Avenue of Service Award, and they are Scott McDermott of the Rotary Club of Sylvan Lake and Craig Henderson of the Rotary Club of Calgary. Congratulations to Scott and Craig for all their leadership that you give and inspiration that you provide in your clubs. Our third award for the district is the Rotary Foundation District Service Award. This award honors Rotarians in our district who are making a difference through the foundation's programs. Our district prides itself in offering an annual comprehensive grants workshop outlining the numerous foundation opportunities for Rotarians in our district. And it is my honor to award the Rotary Foundation District Service Award to our current foundation chair, Kurt Kowalczyk. congratulations to all Rotarians and clubs receiving our Rotary District 5360 awards. And now we have a number of other district club awards to give out. So please watch carefully as we go through this list. You can sing and dance along if you'd like, but our sincere congratulations to the following clubs.
It's a celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate. There's a party going on right here. A dedication to last throughout the years. So bring your good times.
Shelterbox Canada is an international disaster relief organization and project partner of Rotary International in disaster relief. Natural disasters and conflict are inevitable, frequent, and the need is continuous. And this past year, disasters haven't stopped for the coronavirus pandemic. Thanks to our incredible partnership, we have supported 2 million people with emergency shelter in 97 countries around the world. We are so honored to have the ongoing support of so many incredible clubs in District 5360 as Shelterbox Canada heroes. A hero is a Rotary club that identifies the continuing need to prepare for disasters and respond at a moment's notice. There is time to join clubs in 5360.
Oh, thanks, Hero. That's good.
By donating this Rotary year, your club can help families in their time of need and gain hero status before the end of June. Thank you so much for your continuing support to put the partnership into action. Together, we can see a world where no family is left without shelter after a disaster.
Isn't it amazing to see the service, contribution, and accomplishments of all of the clubs and members in this district?
You're ready to advance.
The superpowers of Rotary are being used across the district, and I, for one, am so proud to be able to see it happen. It would be great to show some appreciation to all of our award winners. So if you move your mouse, you will see a reactions button at the bottom right-hand side of your Zoom session. Click on the thumbs up, the clap, the little party reaction button if you'd like to acknowledge our winners. All right, some great reactions in here. Thanks so much, everyone. So that brings an end, if you can believe it, to the formal part of our program today. As always, there's a few wrap-up items that we'd like to share with you now. Now, as we come to the closing portion of our conference, we'd like to thank all of the sponsors for today's conference. We just shared a round of applause for our award winners. Now, we'd also like to virtually put our hands together to say thank you to the sponsors who helped make today possible by funding the speaker honorariums and the technical costs for putting on this event. Please take a moment to think about them and to thank them. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts to our sponsors. We really appreciate your support. Matt, I think you have some information to share with us as well.
I do. We have a couple of heads up for different events related to the conference that are coming up throughout the district. So earlier today, we heard from Karen Gallagher-Root about the wellness, about not bottling it up. Her talk spoke of techniques to improve your own wellness, and colleagues of Karen's at CMHA are partnered with the district in a project called Rotarian for Mental Health, District 5360. The focus is to address mental health and wellness for Rotarians and the community through practical, creative, and innovative actions. An action that has been demonstrated to encourage mental wellness in a powerful and positive manner is to encourage a focus on what's right in your world. There is recognition for that resiliency has been fostered through a focus on those aspects in a person's life that might be a little more positive. To harness the power of this strategic approach, Rotarians in District 5360 and the community at large will be encouraged to appreciate and share with district office specific marvelous moments during the month of May. And I want you to stay tuned for a little more information, but check out the website and get a better idea. As many of you know and have asked about, we usually have a House of Friendship at the district conference. Here's how the committees decided to host it this year. So at this time, we'd like to invite Martin Parnell to the podium. Martin is the is the district governor-elect. He will be our district governor next year, and he would like to share with you our plans for DISCON 2022. Martin?
Great. Thank you, Matt. Okay, well, welcome everybody. And I want to say a big thank you to DG Mary and the rest of the team for putting on an amazing day. And also for all the participants. This has just been an incredible journey through Rotary, and thank you for putting this on and having all of us enjoy it. So now let's look forward 1 year, and we are looking to the Rotary International District 5360 Conference, and it's going to be held in Cochrane on May the 14th. So now I want to give you a little slice of Cochrane. If you could cue up the video, please. here we go. The date of the conference is Saturday, May the 14th, and it's going to be a one-day conference. We're going to hold it at the Alliance Church in Cochrane. They have some fantastic facilities there. And so we'll be able to invite Rotarians and everyone from Rotary to come to that conference. The theme is going to be the new 7th area of focus, which is supporting the environment. So we're really going to have a look at the environment within our district and what we can do about it. So who do we want coming to this? Well, we want the family of Rotary. We want Rotarians and Rotaractors, interactors and early actors to come, and potential members, potential future Rotarians. So it's going to be open to everybody. We're looking to have 400 participants, and we hope to raise $10,000 for our charity partner, Shelterbox. So very exciting. We have a terrific conference committee, and the conference chair is Karen Green. Karen's out of the Rotary Club of Canmore. So if you have any ideas, any thoughts, please contact Karen. Next slide, please. So I just want to give you one date to remember. August the 1st is when registration starts. And so this is going to be the hottest ticket in town. So don't wait when that registration goes up. Make sure you sign up and be part of the experience in Cochrane and be part of District Conference 2022. See you there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin. And we'll all look forward to that August 1st magic date when we can get organized for next year's conference well in advance. Well, you guys, it's been an awesome day. Wow, I am feeling so inspired to try new things with new people, to keep our Rotary relevant in ways that I'd never considered before. Thank you to everyone who has come together today to make this such a success. But we're not finished yet. I'd like to give you an opportunity to relax with your new friends that you've met across our district for a little bit of social time. So we're going to take a quick break, get a new refreshment, and come back here because we're going to play an incredible Rotary Jeopardy game. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Matt, or should I say Alex, and hope you guys are all brushed up on your Rotary trivia because we're going to have some fun. Matt?
Thanks, Mary. So as Mary mentioned, this is the end of the formal portion of DISCON 2021. So get social, have a little more fun. As we have our break, you'll have the opportunity to, have some fellowship, go grab a beverage, whatever you need, take a stretch. We're going to open up our breakout rooms for one last session in case you'd like to chat with your table mates one more time. And then you have the ability the games will start at 3:30 p.m. So on behalf of the DISCON 2021 Conference Committee, I'd like to thank all of you for coming to our conference and you for your participation, and we'll see you at the games.
Changing world, and we must be prepared to change with it. The story of Rotary needs to be written over again and again and again. It takes a village to raise a child, and today we have done just that. And so from myself, I have a number of people that I'd like to express my sincere appreciation for all the hard work that they've put into the journey this far and the conference as we have unrolled it today for all of us to enjoy. So right off the top, I'd like to thank the Rotary Club of Olds, who has been with me throughout the last couple of years as we've journeyed towards today. Their support has been consistent throughout, and I just wanted to thank all the Rotarians in Olds for their support. To the Drumheller Club, we had a vision of bringing this event to Drumheller, and you guys endorsed it and wrapped your arms around it right from the get-go. And it would have been a really amazing time together in Drum, but as you know, we had to pivot. So thank you to the Rotarians and Drumheller for embracing this idea to host the district conference in their community. To the conference committee, who have been meeting for a very long time, you guys have dedicated your talent, your skills, and hours away from your families. So I really appreciate all the hard work that everyone on the district conference committee has put into today's event. To our MCs, Matt and Daniela, you guys just rock. You are so easy on the microphones. You were just seamless. You made it look so easy. I know underground, the feet are just going a million miles a minute. So you guys were able to just jump into things when things went a little bit off of the original script. And I really thank you for all your hard work in keeping us organized. To the youth panel, to Danny, Noah, and Tony, I don't know if you guys are still on the call or not, but you were amazing in bringing youth to the forefront of our district and making us very aware of the challenges and opportunities that we have in our district to work with youth. To our speakers that were with us today, you guys were amazing. You worked with the technology, you challenged us to think outside the box. I think the transitions to the breakout rooms with our speakers went very well, and I really appreciate your willingness to join us today online to bring your passion and your message to all of us today. So thank you for that. To the tech team and the production team, it's been a constant flurry of activity, not just today, but in the weeks prior to today. You put in a lot of time and effort, and I am so glad that I have had such amazing people behind the scenes working through all of the technology that we've had to deal with. So my heartfelt thanks to all the people that have worked in that capacity today to bring you this conference. Our youth team has been awesome. We really wanted to bring early actors, rotor actors, and interactors to the conference today. So I thank all of the people that were involved in making that happen. I know it was a big team effort, and I appreciate the work that went into that. To Charlene, you guys, you are amazing. You pulled so many tricks out of your bag and made it all work today. And I just really want to thank you for all of the extra time and effort that you put into making this conference such a success, Charlene. So my heartfelt thanks to you as well. I want to thank my husband, who's been there for a number of years, helping me through this journey as district governor, and through today, particularly as we got ready and closer to the conference, for keeping me grounded and keeping me IT connected to the world outside of Olds. So thank you, Steve, for that. And to each and every one of you, my sincere thanks for taking today out of your regular Saturday routine, for making time to be here, for your passion for Rotary, and for all that you do in our district and beyond. My heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you. So I'll sign off for today by saying thank you all. It's been a great day. I think we have an amazing district filled with incredible Rotary hearts. And as always, be safe, stay healthy, and we'll certainly keep in touch. We will be getting this recording of our day out to the district website. Don't promise today or tomorrow, but you know, when Charlene's had a little bit of rest, we'll get that organized and have it available to you to share with other Rotarians and others around the world, to share some of the knowledge that we've learned today. So Matt, I'm gonna pass it back to you with a final farewell for the evening. I hope everyone has a nice relaxing evening this evening, and again, thank you for your contribution today. It's been an awesome day. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Everyone, hope you guys had fun. DISCON 2021 is officially closed. That's a wrap. Shut her down, take a break. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you around. Bye, folks.